Hello students, for today we're gonna learn about function. First, we will learn what is the definition of the function itself. A function is a special transformation that maps each number of a set to only one number in another set. Let's say it will map some value of x, and for each value of x, it will be only one numbers of y, or we can say that it only have one result of value of y. This is an example of functions, the visualization of a functions. In the left circles, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Actually, it's not circles, it's ellipse. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is called the this is what we call the input. And then for the right circles, we have 4, 5, 6, and 7. Usually we call this range or an output, yeah. And then the rule says 1 will become 4, 2 will become 5, 3 will become 6, and 4 will become 7. So as you can see, each value of x will have one value of y. And then the function of f for the diagram above is add by 3. So the function means the rules, yeah. So the rules for the previous visualization is add by 3. As you can see, 1 add by 3 will become 4, 2 added by 3 will become 5, and so on. And then we'll go to the notation of function. So the notation of function for the previous example questions will be x plus 3, since the rules is added by 3. That means the rules will be x plus 3, and then the notation itself, it can be f and then titik 2x, or the common writings is this one, f and then in the brackets x, yeah, and then equals to the rules. So you can read this one as the function of f is x plus 3, just like that, yeah. But in mathematics, you have to read it like this, f of x equals to x plus 3. But usually I didn't read it like that also, I just write it as fx equals to x plus 3, yeah. It will be simpler. And then for this one, the 1 and the 4, you can write it as f in the brackets 1 equals to 4. That means the function of f will map the value of 1, or we can say that one as an input to the number of 4, or you can say it as an output or the result, yeah. And then for the 2 and 5, you can write it like this, f2 equals to 5. That means it will map 2 or the input to the number of 5 or the output. That also means the 1 in the brackets will replace the x later, and then the 1 after the equal is the result, yeah. And then the value of input and output are called domain and range respectively. Okay, so in mathematics, we don't say input and output, but instead domain and range. Okay guys, let's try example questions 1. So first, the questions give you the function. The question says the rules is you have to square the x and then plus the 5 times x. And the questions A wants you to calculate the f6. Remember what I told you before, the 1 in the brackets is the input and the input is the x. That means to calculate this, you only have to replace the x with 6, just like this, 6 square and then plus 5 times 6. So you'll have 36 plus 30, and the final result is 66. So f6, you can conclude that f6 equals to 66. There you go. And then how about b? For the b, the rules stay the same because it's still fx. So we have x squared plus 5x, and then the question wants you to find for the b negative 4. So the x is negative 4 square plus 5 times negative 4. You will have 16 and then minus 20. Altogether it will become negative 4. So this is how you calculate the value of a function. But sometimes in math you have to work in reverse. That means the question is reversed. So in the previous question you have to find the value or the result. That means in these questions the result is already given. So first the question tells you that the rules is 3x plus 4, and then the questions told you also that the fx or the result is equal to 25. That means we can conclude that the 3x plus 4 have to be equal to 25. 3x plus 4 have to be equal to 25. That means 3x equals to 25 minus 4 equals to 21. So x equals to 21 divided by 3. X equals to 7. So the question wants you to find the value of x. That means x equals to 7. As simple as that. Okay, next question 3. It will be a little bit complicated because it involves higher algebra skills. Yeah. So in these questions, the fx is already given, which is x squared minus 7x, and then the gx already given, x squared minus x. I'm taking my words. This one is still easy because the x squared later will cancel each other. So and then the question also says fx equals to gx. Just write it like this, fx equals to gx, and because we already know that fx equals to x squared plus 7x, that means you can replace this one with x squared plus 7x, and then equal to the gx will be x squared minus x plus 4. And then after this you have to use your algebra skills to solve this equation. So first you move the x squared, that means x squared minus x squared, it will become 0, and then you move the negative x, it will become 7x plus x, and the result is 8x. And because the x squared is already cancelled out, there is no more x squared. That means just leave the 4 at the right hand side. X equals to 4 divided by 8, so the value of x will be 1 over 2. This is our final results. And then next we will learn how to graph a function. To sketch a function, or maybe to draw accurately a function, you have to follow these steps. First, you have to determine the x-intercept of the graph, which is the y equals to 0. The rules is when you want to find the x-intercept, the y have to be equals to 0, and then after that you can find the value of x, and then the second step is determine the y-intercept. The rule says when you want to find the y-intercept, the x have to be 0, and then you will have the value of y later. And then the third, to make the sketch or the drawings easier, you can create a table of values to find additional points on the graph, and then you plot all of the points that you already have and then join them with a smooth curve, or maybe if it is a straight line, you will join them with a straight line. To help you draw the functions properly, maybe you want to memorize the shapes of the curve for some of the function. So first I will show it to you, the shapes of the fx equals to a numbers, only a numbers without x. Yeah, so it will be horizontal line, depends on the numbers. For this one, the function will be fx equals to 1 because it attached to y equals to 1, so fx equals to 1. And then for this one, ax plus b, we have x to the power of 1. That means the shapes of the graph will be a straight line. The straight line can be like this or like that, depend on the value of a and also the b. Yeah, and then for the next one, it's parabola. This one is called parabola. It can be opens up like that or opens down, depends on the value of a. And then for the vertex point or the turning point, it will be depend on the function itself. Yeah, so we will draw this one later. And then the next one is x to the power of 3. For the x to the power of 3, the original graph will be like that, but if we have another one like plus 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, the shapes of the curve will be like this later. So this is the original for the x to the power of 3, yeah. And then for 1 over x, the x is at the bottom. That means the curve will be split into two parts. The first one is this one, and the second one is that one. In 1 over x, there is a straight line that is called asymptotes. The asymptotes of the 1 over x will be right here. Asymptotes means a line that is never touched by the graph itself, but the graph will be very close with the asymptotes. Yeah, so as you can see, when we continue the curve, it will be very close with the asymptotes, just like that. Okay, and then 1 over x squared will be like this. It only two asymptotes, the same with the 1 over x, but the curve will be like this. Yeah, different with the 1 over x, a little bit different. Okay, we'll go to the example questions. I will show you how to use the step by step to sketch a function. Okay, so what is the first step? The first step is to find the x-intercept. So we will follow the steps first. You have to find the x-intercept by I will write it like this first. X-intercept, that means y equals to 0, and that also means you have to replace the y with 0. What is the y? Y is the fx, guys, because we already know that y is the result or the output. That means that is the fx. If y equals to 0, that means the fx also equals to 0. So 0 equals to 3x plus 2. So move the 2 to the left hand side, you will have negative 2. And then you will move the 3 to the left hand side, you will have negative 2 over 3. Or in decimals, this one will be 0.67. Why I calculate the result as decimals? Because we will plot it later in the Cartesian, and it will be more easier if you use decimals. The second step says you have to find the y-intercept. For the y-intercept, the x equals to 0. That means fx equals to 3x plus 2. You can change the fx into y because it's the same. So you have 3 times 0. Just input the x equals to 0 to the function. You'll have 2. So from the first calculation, we have negative 0.67, 0 as the result, and for the second one we have 0,2 as the result. Okay, so as you can see, we have x to the power of 1 for the highest degree. That means our curve or our graph later will be a straight line. For a straight line, we don't need any other any other points. We only need 2 points like this, and then you can just draw the straight line. So this one is y, this one is x. Let's say 1 is right here, 2, 3, and then negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. And then this one is 1, that one is 2, this one is negative 1, this one is negative 2. Okay, so our first point will be negative 0.67, 0. That will be right here, around right there, and then 0,2 will be right there, and then you will connect the dots using a straight line like this. Okay, our graph is not so good because the question wants you to draw it from negative 3 until 3. The space is not enough. Actually, you have to continue this one until the x equals to 3 up above, yeah. And also the negative 3. The question wants you to draw it from negative 3 until 3, so this one is not enough. You have to draw another line going to the negative 3, and then after it reaches negative 3 you will stop. Yeah, so this is how you draw the first graph, the straight line. It's pretty easy to draw a straight line. Next, I will show you how to draw a quadratic. Still the same. The first step will be the x-intercept. For the x-intercept, you have to make the y equals to 0. So the rule says x squared minus 2x minus 8. You can change the fx into y directly, and then you will wait, let me write down the formula first. For the x-intercept, the y have to be equals to 0. That means this y will become 0 later. So x squared minus 2x minus 8. And because this is the quadratics, that means to find the value of x, you have to factorize. I will factorize it for you like this, yeah, and then x equals to 4, x equals to negative 2. If you cannot factorize the quadratics, you can ask me later in the class. I will teach you privately. And then from this result, we already have 4, 0 as the first x-intercept and negative 2, 0 as the second intercept. Questions 2, we have to find the y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, you only have to input x equals to 0. That means y equals to x squared minus 2x minus 8. That means y equals to 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 8. So y equals to negative 8. That means we already have the second point, 0, negative 8. Okay, this is a quadratics. Actually, for the quadratics, 3 points is enough to sketch the graph. Yeah, so let's just sketch the graph like this. This is the y and this is the x, and then 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is right there, and then negative 2 is right here. Negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, negative 8 far below. And then in the previous explanation, I already show the shapes of the x square, right? The x square will be like this or like that. Yeah, opens up or opens down. Just follow the pattern. Yeah, so for this one, it might be opens up since we have to connect the dots right there. If we connect it like this, it cannot, yeah, because it will not touch the negative 8. So we have to connect it like this. It doesn't mean that we have to going back at negative 8. Just draw the parabola perfectly like this. Oh no, my bad. Just like that. Yeah, so it has to be symmetrical. If you draw it like this, it will not symmetrical. Yeah, it will be in the bad shapes. So it is better like this. Okay, this is our second example questions to draw a graph. Oh, my bad, we are not finished yet. We have to draw it starting from negative 3. So negative 3 is right here. Yeah, around that. Oh no, I'm doing it wrong. It's not straight. Okay, so we will start from here until 5. Maybe 5 is right here. That means we have to draw it like that. Nah, there you go. This is our sketch for the second one. And then the next one is this function 3 over x. Okay, so for this one, let's try to find the x-intercept. X-intercept, yeah. X-intercept means y equals to 0, and that also means y equals to 3 over x. The y will be replaced by 0. 0 equals to 3 over x, and then you will multiply the x to the left hand side, cross multiplication, right? The algebra said so. So 0 equals to 3, that means the x is already gone, we cannot find the value of x. That means there are no x-intercept, yeah, no x-intercept. And then for the second one, we have y-intercept. Y-intercept means x equals to 0, and that also means y equals to 3 over x, y equals to 3 over, replace the x by 0. In mathematics, anything divided by 0 will be undefined, so this one also no y-intercept. Why this function doesn't have x and y intercept? Because it's just like 1 over x, the one that I already showed to you before. The graph is split into two parts, divided into two parts. One of them is right here and the other one is right there, but as you can see, the curve doesn't touch the x-axis and it doesn't touch the y-axis. That means there is no x-intercept and y-intercept, yeah. So keep in mind that usually for 1 over x, the x below the fractions, it will be no x-intercept and y-intercept, yeah. But instead we have the asymptotes, okay. And then the curve will be like this, but because we have to draw it from -3 until 3 and we don't have any coordinates right here, maybe we can calculate some of them. Let's say -3. If we have x equals to -3, that means the or maybe for this one we can draw it more accurate, yeah, by create a table. I will show you how to draw a graph by creating a table. So x and y, just create it like this, x and y, and then the x will be various from -3 until 3. That means -3, -2, -1, and then 0, and then 1, and then 2, and then the last one is 3. Okay, let's calculate when x equals to 3. When x equals to 3, the y will be -3 over 3 over -3, yeah, since the function is 3 over x. That means you only have to replace the x by -3. So this one will be -1, and then if the x is -2, it will be -1.5. For x -1, it will be -3. For x 0, of course we cannot because it's undefined, so let's remove 0. Then if the x equals to 1, the y will be 3, 2, 1.5, 3, of course 1. Okay, so we already have our table. We only have to plot the points. Let's say -3 is right here, -2, -1, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. And then we have -3 also for the result, -1, -2, -3. For this one it's only oh no, same 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's plot the first point, -3, -1 is right there. And then for this one, -2, -1.5 is right there, and then -1, 3 is right there. Okay, so our first parts will be like this. Yeah, just connect the points, and then the next one will be similar like that. Okay, so this is how you draw a graph, yeah, by find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and also create the table. This is the easiest method. Okay, next is example question 4. I will give you a little bit more example question in this section because the shapes is different for each other, yeah. So for this one we have to find the x-intercept, my bad. the x-intercept first. X-intercept means y equals to 0. That means 0 equals to x to the power of 3 minus x to the power of 2 minus 4x plus 4. And then later you will factorize this, but unfortunately you haven't learned this because it's you already learned this, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, in the 9th grade polynomials. Oh, I don't know, just pretend that you haven't learned this, so we can skip this part. Yeah, doesn't do not worry, because when we skip one part of this, you can still sketch the curve. Okay, next is y-intercept. For y-intercept, I think you can calculate this. So x equals to 0, so y equals to 0 to the power of 3 minus 0 square, and then minus 4 times 0, and then plus 4. That means y equals to 4. From this calculation, we got 0, negative 4 as the result. And then because this is x to the power of 3, that means we will need another points to help us draw later. So let's start from negative 3, and then negative 2, and then negative 1. We already have 0, which is 4, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. Okay, let me calculate it first. Okay, I already calculate all of them, and I have this result. Yeah, so later we will plot the point, and then we'll connect them using smooth curve. So this one is y, this one is x. We have negative 3 until 3, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then for the y, we'll have negative 20. Let's say this one is negative 20, and that means this one is 10. Okay, so 3, negative 20 will be right here, and then negative 2, 0. Oh, because this one is at the x-intercept, that means this one is one of the x-intercept. So when you calculate this later, maybe you will get negative 2, 0. Not maybe, yeah, will get negative 2, 0. And then negative 1 and 6, maybe around there, and then 0, 4, and then 1, 0, 2, 0, and then 3, 10. Okay, so we only have to connect them like this. So yeah, just keep in your mind that it has to be symmetrical. Yeah, it has to be very good like this. Nah, this is our graph. Okay, next is the domain and range of the function. So recall that the values of the input and output are called the domain and range respectively. So usually the question wants you to find the range. That means you have to know how to calculate the range. The domain of a function is a set of all possible input values, often represented in the variable of x for which the function is defined, and produce a valid output. That means domain is values of x, some value of x. And then the range of a function refers to the set of all possible value output values, often represented in the variable of y. So the range is the possible values of y. To determine the domain of a function, we simply look at the range of the x values on the graph we have drawn. However, the domain is often stated in the questions. I will show this to you later in the example questions. To determine the range, we simply look at the range of y values, of course, in our graph, and then we only have to write down the range of the values of y, and it will become our range of the function. And then we go straight to the example questions. Determine the domain and range for all functions shown in the previous examples. Okay, let me copy the graph first. Okay, let's start from the first function. For the first function, we have fx equals to 3x plus 2. And the question says the x will be varies from negative 3 until 3. That means this is the range of value of x. And we already know that the range value of x will be the domain. So we can say that the domain is negative 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. As I told you before, the domain usually given in the questions. Yeah, so the domain for the range is this one. And then to find the values of y or the range, we have to know the shapes of the curve and also the points, the minimum points or the lowest point and also the highest point on that curve. Yeah, so unfortunately the highest point should be right here when x equals to 3. As you can see, the graph will be increasing until it reach 3, right? But we don't have the value of y. That means we have to calculate it first. So when x equals to 3, the value of y will be 3x plus 2, right? Y equals to 3 times 3 plus 2, so the y will be 11. That means when the x equals to 3, the y will be 11. And when x equals to negative 3, we also have to find the value of y. That means we can write it like this. When x equals to negative 3, the y will be 3 times negative 3 plus 2. That means we'll have negative 7 as the result. That means our graph, our straight line, for the value of y, it will be various from negative 7 from the lowest until the highest is 11. That means we can say that the range is negative 7 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 11, just like that. This is how you determine the range of a function. Yeah, some of students have difficulties in finding the range, especially in the exam later. So I want you to understand this more than the calculation before. Yeah, because this one is a little bit hard, because you have to do a lot of things to find the range. Yeah, let's say you imagine the shapes and then you calculate the extreme points, the lowest point, the highest point, or maybe the behavior of the y increasing, decreasing, and so on. Yeah, so let's do example question 2. The second one is just like this. We already drawn the curve before. Yeah, but unfortunately we don't have these values and also these values. Yeah, okay, so I don't know whether you already learned this in the 9th grade, but I think you already learned this, and this one is called the turning point of the quadratics. Turning point of the quadratics, you can find this by using the formula negative b over 2a comma b square minus 4ac over negative 4a, or you can use the completing squares also. Yeah, but in this questions I will tell you the values instead. So this is 1, and the values of y is negative 9. So this one is negative 9. The lowest point in this question is negative 9. And then because the x is limited from negative 3 until 5, that means we have the highest point. For the highest point we have to calculate it first. So when x equals to negative 3, the y will be negative 3 square, negative 2 times negative 3. Simply put the x, the negative 3 into the x. Yeah, so this one is 9, and then plus 6, and then minus 8. So you have 15 minus 8 equals to 7. So this one is 7. And then how about this? The x equals to 5. according to the graph, I think the values will be the same. Yeah, just make sure whether it is 7 or not. Just calculate it like this. So you have 25 minus 10 minus 8. We have yeah, 7, the same. That means the lowest point or the lowest value of y will be negative 9, and then it will be various from negative 9 until 7. That means the range is negative 9 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 7, and the domain itself is already given in the questions. It's negative 3 until 5. There you go. This is the second example question. The third one will be this one, 3 over x. We already draw this before, but I do a mistakes at this questions. I have to stop right here, guys, until 3. You cannot draw this one because the question says we have to stop at 3 and we have to stop at negative 3, so you have to erase this one. Yeah, okay, good. So let's take a look at the domain. The domain is the range of value of x, which is this one, negative 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. And then for the range, you will see the values of y. The values of y for this part, it start from negative 1, and then it will be various from negative 1 until very small numbers. Yeah, let's say it can be until negative 100, negative 1000, negative 1 million, because it will be going down infinitely. Yeah, that means the range will be y less than or equal to negative 1. Yeah, it will be decreasing infinitely. And then for the other parts, it start from 1. It start from y equals to 1. Yeah, start from here. It will be going up infinitely. That means the y will be greater than or equal to 1. And then you can say it's OR. Yeah, so y less than or equal to negative 1 or y greater than or equal to 1. There you go. And then for the last questions, we can see the range directly because we already have all of the values. The lowest is negative 20 and the highest is 10. That means the range will be various from negative 20 until 10. That means negative 20 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 10. For the domain itself, it will be negative 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. So this is how you determine the domain and range of a function. Hello students, for today we're gonna learn about composite function. This is the continuation of your chapter. So when one function is followed by another function, the resulting function is called composite function. So composite function is like the continuation of the function. I will visualize the composite function in this visualization. So let's start with the function of g. For the function of g, you will have a chart like this. So start with x, and then we have some rules for function g. You will have the result as gx, right? And then it's not stop right there. We can continue the rules with another rules like f, yeah, followed by f, and then we will have another result for the output. Yeah, so start with g and then followed by another rules which is f. We can get the final output as fg. Yeah, so but in calculations it will be a little bit complicated if we calculate it twice, like you calculate the gx first and then you followed by the rules of the fx, and then you'll have the final result after you calculate it twice. Yeah, that means we can combine the function into one function that can be calculated to find the results directly. Yeah, it will not be two calculations, but it will be only one calculations. Okay, next is notation of a composite function. Fg x means the function of g act on x first and then f act on the result. In the simple sentence, it will be starting from g and then followed by f. Okay, so the first function is g and the second function is f. The value of x will be the input for the g, and the result of the g will be the input of the x. So after you know what fg means, can you tell me what gf means? Yes, the first function is f and then followed by the g. Okay, we'll go to the next section. The next section is how do we determine the value of a composite function. As I told you before, we can find the result of the composite function by do the calculation twice, because we don't have the rules for the direct calculation. That means we have to calculate this twice. Yeah, so for question 1a, the question wants you to find the value of fg3. Keep in mind that fg means the first function is g and the second function is f. That means to calculate this, we have to find the value of g3 first. g3 means replace the value of x by 3 like this. Sorry, like this, because it's x plus 5. That means we can replace the x by 3 and then we have the result of 8 for g3. After we have g3, we can write it down like this, because this one is 8. That means I can write it as f8 right now. So we have to find the value of f8. f8 equals to 8 to the power of 2, since the rules is square, and then we replace the x with 8. So the final result will be 64. Therefore, the fg3 equals to 64. This is how you calculate the value of a composite function. Okay, let's try b. For the b, we have g f negative 7 equals to. So to understand this, I can visualize this like calculation by using an arrow like this. So negative 7, input it into the f, and then the result later will be input into g, just like that. Yeah, so just input the negative 7 to the f first. So you'll have negative 7 to the power of 2, which is equals to 49, and then just input the 49 into the g. So you will have gf negative 7 equals to, input the 49 into the g, you will have 49 plus 5 equals to 54. There you go. This is our final result. Yeah, so as simple as that. Next is how do we determine the composite function, the rules itself. Yeah, if the composite function is fg, simply substitute the x in the fx with the g. So you only have to substitute the second function with the first one. Yeah, and then if it is fg, that means you have to substitute the first function, which is f, into the g. Substitute the fx to the g. Okay, it's a little bit confusing when I'm explaining it like that. Just go to the example questions, you will understand it later. So we have fx equals to x squared, and then we have another one, gx equals to x plus 5, and the question wants you to find fgx. Remember, fgx means the first function is g and the second function is f. The rules is you only have to input the first function into the second function. So you have to input the first function into the second function. So it will become, you input it into this x, yeah. So the x will be replaced with x plus 5, and then you will write down the rest, x plus 5 squared. There you go. This is the FGX. So the rules for the FGX directly is x plus 5 squared. How about this one? Okay, so for A, we have to determine the rules for FGX. FGX means you have to substitute the G into the F. So substitute this into the 2x plus 1. So you'll have 2 times x plus 1. The x will be replaced by x squared plus 3. That means we will have 2x squared plus 6. Multiply it like this, and then plus 1. So you altogether it will become 2x squared plus 7. So this is the rules for FG. How about B? GF. GFX means the first function is F. Input it into G. So right now you have to input this into the G. So you will have x squared plus 3 before, and then you replace the x with 2x plus 1. So this is the rules of GF, yeah. And then C, we have to calculate FF. FF means input the F into another F. So we have 2F right here. Let's just pretend that we have 2F. It will be more make sense for you later. So we have to input this F, the first F, into the second F, yeah. So it will become 2 times x plus 1 before, like this one. But we have to insert the 2x plus 1 into the x. So 2x plus 1 like that. For this one, we can simplify it by multiply the results like this. So you have 4x plus 3. So this is how you determine the composite function. Okay, after we learn about composite function, the next one is the inverse function. The inverse of a function is the function that undo the fx, yeah, undoes, what should I pronounce this? Undoes what fx has done. So this is the diagram of the fx. The x will become y, while inverse function is the reverse of the process of the fx. That means the y will become the x, yeah. So the direction is reverse. The rule for the inverse function will be the reverse of the rule of the original function. And there is one condition that a function have an inverse. A function has an inverse if and only if it is one-to-one function. And what is one-to-one function? Meaning that each output is mapped from exactly one unique output. That means each value of y will have only one values of x, and vice versa, yeah. So each value of x have one value of y, one value of y have one value of x. If one value of x have two values of y, the function will not have an inverse. Okay. Okay, next is the notation of an inverse function. The notation of inverse function of fx will be written as f to the power of -1 and then x. This one is called the inverse function of fx. And then how do we determine the inverse function? For many straightforward function, the inverse can be found using a flowchart. If the function a little bit complex, you can use algebra later, yeah. Okay, let's take a look at example question 1 to find the inverse of fx, for which the rules is 3x plus 1 over 4. First, we have to read the rule of the function like this. To know the flow chart, you have to read the rules of the function starting from the x. So x is multiplied by 3, starting from the x, right? X multiplied by 3, and then added by 1, and then divided by 4. Yeah, you have to read it like that. And then after you read the rules, you can create a flow chart like this. Starting from the x, multiplied by 3, it will become 3x, and then added by 1, it will become 3x plus 1, and then divided by 4, it will become 3x plus 1 over 4. Yeah, this is the correct flow chart for the function of fx. And then to find the inverse, we simply reverse the process, starting from the x at the right side, and then we have divide by 4 before, it will become multiplied by 4, it will become 4x, and then we have plus 1 right here, it will become minus 1, so 4x minus 1, you will have 4x minus 1, and then we have multiplied by 3 before, it will become divided by 3, the opposite operation, so altogether you will have 4x minus 1 over 3. So the final result will be the rules for the inverse function. So altogether you can write down the inverse functions like this: f to the power of negative 1x equals to 4x minus 1 over 3. This is how you find the equation of a function, the inverse function, using a flowchart. Yeah, but not all of the questions can be determined by using these methods, but rather using the methods above. Let's use algebra, so all of the questions can be solved later. Okay, to find an inverse using algebra, there are several steps you have to follow. The first one is you have to change the fx into the letter of x and change the letter of x to the letter of y. So you only have to swap them. As you already know, fx is y, right? So you only have to swap the position of x and y in the rules, and then make y as the subject of the equation, or make it into y equals to blah 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 blah, and then change the letter of y into f to the power of negative 1. That means the y letter will become the inverse. Yeah. Okay, let's try example question 1. The question says change the fx to the letter of x and change the letter of x to the letter of y. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing. Yeah, so we have fx equals to 5 over x minus 2. Because we are because we want to find the inverse, we have to change this one into the x, the step said so, equals to 5 over the x will become the y, just like this. Yeah, just change it like that. And then the second step says you have to make the y as the subject. That means you have to use algebra to make this one become y equals 2. So the first algebra is to cross multiplication, so you'll have x times y, which is xy, and then negative 2 times x, you'll have negative 2x equals to 5. Because we want to find the y equals to blah blah blah, blah later, so you have to move the 2x, so we can isolate the y later. Xy equals to 5 plus 2x, and then you can move this x to the right hand side, you'll have y equals to 5 plus 2x over x. There you go, we already have y equals 2. And then what is the third step? The third step is to change the letter of y into f inverse. So the next step will be change this one into f inverse equals to 5 plus 2x over x. So this is how you find the inverse of a function using algebra. And then how do you determine the value of an inverse function? To determine the values of an inverse function, just find the inverse and then substitute the given values. So let's take a look at example question 1. We have fx equals to x plus x minus 1 over x minus 2, and then we want to find f inverse 2. You already see the f inverse, right? That means you have to find the function, the inverse of the function first. So of x equals to x minus 1 over x minus 2. Let's use algebra methods to find the inverse. First, you have to change this one into x, change this one into y, change this one into y, and then make the y as the subject. To make the y as the subject, the first algebra that we can do is to multiply x and y minus 2. You'll have xy minus 2x equals to y minus 1. And then we have to isolate the y, move this y to the left hand side, move this 2x to the right hand side. So you'll have xy minus y equals to minus 1 plus 2x. And then we cannot calculate this one because they are different, they have different variables, so we cannot subtract them. That means you have to factorize the y, because we have common things right here, which is y. You can factorize the y, just put the y outside the brackets, and then you write down the remaining. We have xy before. When you take out the y, you will only have x as the remaining, and then negative y. When you take out the y, you will have negative 1 as the remainder, yeah. And then y equals to negative 1 plus 2x divided by x minus 1. Just move this x minus 1 to the right hand side. And then after that, we can rewrite the expressions as f inverse equals to negative 1 plus 2x over x minus 1. And then after this, we can calculate the values. F inverse of 2 means we only have to insert the 2 into the x. Negative 1 plus 2 times 2, and then x minus 1, just like that. Negative 1 plus 4 equals to 3, 2 minus 1 equals to 1, so the final result equals to 3. Okay, next is additional notes. For f inverse fx, the result will become x, the rules will become x. So if you have f inverse followed by f, or you have x and you have f and then followed by f inverse, the result of the composite functions will be x. Yeah, so the rules will become x. This is because f inverse x undoes what fx has done. We already know this before. F inverse will undoes what fx has done. That means it will go back to the x itself. For this one, example questions 1, given that fx equals to 2x squared plus 3, to answer this one, f inverse f, just use this concept, it will become x. To answer this one, also the same, it will become x. For this one, it will become 3. Just answer it like that, yeah. So this is for the additional materials. Okay, last one. Let's say the question wants you to graph an inverse of function. What do you have to do? First, you have to sketch the original one, and then you have to draw the line y equals to x. You already learned this in transformation chapters before. A diagonal line in the direction to the top right, and the diagonal is exactly symmetrical, yeah, that means 45 degree. Identify the image of several points on the original function after you reflect them to the line y equals to x, and then plot and join these points to form a graph of the inverse function. Okay, so first let's try to sketch the inverse function of x squared minus 9. For the x squared minus 9, you can use the previous lesson to draw it, the fx equals to x squared minus 9. The steps is find the x-intercept, y-intercept, and then create the table. but I will skip that part because we already learned that in the previous meetings. That means the curve later will be like this. So this one is 3, this one is -3, this one is -9. There you go. This is our x-intercept and the y-intercept. But the question says you only have to draw it from x0, x greater than 0. That means you have to erase this one. Erase this one because it's not in the range of x. Yeah, it's not in the domain. Okay. Next is we have to draw the inverse. Yeah, so this is the first steps, which is sketch the original function and then draw the line y equals to x. Y equals to x will be like this, diagonal to the top right, and then this will act as our mirror. Yeah, so the -9 right here, when it is reflected to the y equals to x, it will end at -9 right there, and then for the 3 right here, it will end at 3, and then you only have to connect the points and then see the shapes of the original one. Yeah, so the curve will be wait, okay, the curve will wait, yeah, so the curve later will be just like that. Okay, oh no, wait, maybe no, the scale is not correct. This one's -9 and this one is 3. The distance is the same. That makes it harder to reflect. Okay, just pretend it's like that. Yeah, so maybe I can fix this one. Nah, so this one is 3. Okay, just like that, guys. This is how you sketch the inverse. Yeah, so you don't have to find the inverse first and then you sketch it from the rules, but instead you can sketch the inverse directly from the original graph by reflect it to the y equals to x. And then the last one for today is the domain and range of an inverse function. The domain of the inverse function will be the range of the original function, since inverse is the reverse of the function. That means the x will become the y will become the x, and that also means the range of the inverse will be the domain of the original function. I will take the example of the previous questions. So in these questions we can see that the domain is x greater than or equal to 0 is already given in the questions, and then the range is y, the lowest point is -9, and the curve going up continuously. That means y greater than or equal to -9. Yeah, the y will be various from -1 to infinity. That means y greater than or equal to -9. This is the domain and range of the function. I'll copy it for you. Nah, and then the question wants you to find the domain and range of the inverse. So the domain of the inverse will be the range of the fx, but you have to write it properly because domain is x. That means x greater than or equal to -9. For the range of the inverse, it will be the domain of the fx. The fx said that the domain is x greater than 0. That means the range for this one will be y greater than or equal to 0. And this is how you find the domain and the range of the inverse function. I think that's it for today. Thank you for listen to my explanation. We'll meet again later in the class. If you don't understand some of the explanation, you can ask me. Thank you guys. Bye bye.